Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Army Reenlistment's live streams. Tonight it's myself, Master Lieutenant Donahue, and I'm here with Shantae, Staff Sergeant Shantae Waterbury. How you doing, Shantae?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I ain't had no Wi-Fi yesterday, so I felt kind of internet naked yesterday. But
Well, it
finally
sounds
got
like you don't have good one right now either.
probably not, but that's why you're here, right? So tonight what we're doing is we have a lot of requests for MOSs, and one of the hottest MOSs right now that we get a lot of questions about is MOS 68 Lima. Shantae, do you even know what 68 Lima is?
So by the title, it's an occupational therapist.
See, that's more than I knew. I didn't know that. I talk about these all day. So I was like, hey, how can I talk about something I don't really know about? So I was like, hey,
Right.
let's get some experts on. So we're gonna bring them in right now. We got Master Sergeant Fulton Winder. He is the proponent. He's like pretty much the proponent, career management NCO for every 68 series MOS, but specifically he's going to talk about help us talk about 68 Lima. And we also have Staff Sergeant William Cox, who is actually a 68 Lima as well as an instructor at the schoolhouse. So that's going to be a good stuff. First of all, good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Good evening. Good evening.
Hey, doing good. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
No problem at all. Sergeant Winder, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about the Army story.
Yeah, so Master Sergeant Winder here. I've been in the Army since 2005, actually. I kind of joined the Army back in the day when the war was kicking off a little bit. Had this good, simple Army story where I joined. I wanted to, protect and serve my country. I was kind of fit, so I wanted to actually be in a hospital somewhere doing fitness and rehabilitation. The recruiter showed me a really good video and kind of got me hooked. And I was like, oh, man, I'm going to be in this hospital. I'm going to be in this gym working out all day. And when I get to AIT, it said big and bold, home of the combat medic. And I was like, oh, man, they don't got me. But to be honest, though, so been 16 years as a 68 Whiskey combat medic. Loved it. 2 tours in Iraq and went there with Operation Task Force 300. That was my first experience with the 68 Limas in regards to rehabilitating soldiers as they get injured. But now what I do is, I kind of stepped away from Army medicine and that aspect of patient care. And now I do a lot of the behind the scenes proponency type stuff and making sure the policies and the procedures that we have set people up for success and have those good expectations. So that's what I do right now. I love it, just taking care of soldiers and advocating for young soldiers and making sure they can get what they need.
Yeah, that's awesome because I used to be a proponent for 79 Sierra. So it's always good when you get a senior career management NCO because a lot of people don't understand the job that you do. It's a job that a lot of people don't understand, but everybody in the MOS prospers from it. So I appreciate what you're doing for the 68 series. Sergeant Cox, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. So I'm Staff Sergeant Cox, and I've been in the Army for just over 18 years now. I originally joined as a cook, thinking I was going to, get out, go to culinary school, start my own restaurant. Found out that the cook life wasn't for me, but I liked the Army. So I went and I reclassed and became a medic. And I did that for 3 years, deployed with the 101st, really enjoyed myself. An opportunity came after deployment and said, hey, you want to go to school? You pick a school, we'll send you. And I told them, what school starts next? And they said, OT. And I said, what's that? They said, it's rehab. I said, perfect, let me go. And so in 2009, I went to the 68 Lima program. It was November 3 back then. It was an ASI. And I reclassed again to occupational therapy assistant. And so I've been doing that for 11 years now, worked in different environments. I've been in the hospitals. I've been in combat support the combat support hospitals. I've deployed as a 68 Lima. And then now, as an instructor, helping future Limas as they come into the Army to, be prepared for their next mission. So.
No, that's really good. Instructors is a hard job. It's a very thankless job, and we appreciate you for that. I'm gonna throw some stuff on the screen. Shantae is gonna talk to y'all about some stuff.
All right, so Sergeant Cox, let's start with you.
Okay.
So for all of our people watching and listening in right now, could you kind of tell us what a 68 Lima is?
Okay. So a 68 Lima is the assistant or the technician for an occupational therapist. So we're the occupational therapy assistants. So the therapist will perform the eval, and then once they have a plan for that patient, They come and see the assistant. So we'll see them in the clinic for their treatments. We'll do their rehab. So if, broken hand, broken wrist, broken arm, you're coming to see me, I'm going to get you, moving that hand, moving that wrist, moving that arm. I'm going to get that arm strong. I'm going to have you back doing push-ups, getting back to work, your job, and, all the activities that you couldn't do, you're going to be able to do once you, complete therapy.
So wait a second. So is your MOS, are those the guys that if we go to physical therapy, you guys are the enlisted soldiers that are there to help out when we come in to do our program that the therapist has already set aside. That's what you guys do?
Yes. So unlike,
okay.
So like physical therapy, but we're going to be more hands-on than than most physical therapy technicians. So OT,
Gotcha.
You come in, I'm going to be with you for your full 30, 45 minutes, hour-long treatments. And I'm there making sure that you are getting your range of motion, that you're getting your strength back, and that you're, completing those tasks that you find important to your life. So that's the big thing with, OT. It's not just your injury, but what can't you do? So if you have shoulder surgery and now you can't get dressed by yourself, I teach you the techniques on how to get your shirt on, how to get your top on for when you go to work. If you can't, cook your own meals or take care of your kids, hey, I'm going to show you techniques, give you tools that are going to help you throughout your house. So that way you can, take care of your own individual tasks that you need to do. And then same when it comes to your job, what tools can I give you to make you successful and be able to complete your job?
Awesome. That's cool, because I didn't really know before then that there was like a real difference between the physical therapist and the occupational therapist. So thank you for that. For you, Master, as the proponent, basically, could you tell us what are some of the prerequisites for someone who wants to be a 68 Lima?
Yeah, so to be a 68 Lima, first, there does take college requirements, college classes. So what we do right now is we are only an in-service MOS, which means that they can only reclassify to it. We're not recruiting anybody off the street, the general population that will be. So what we do right now is you have to be a specialist non-promotable. You have to have, be eligible for your re-enlistment. You have to be able to, your POLSI doesn't really matter in this case because we do allow the OPAT. So as long as you can meet the OPAT requirements of the 68 Lima. And then we are working right now with the schoolhouse to reduce the college semester hours from 17 college semester hours down to 12 college semester hours, which will include an English, a math, a speech, and a humanities college semester hours. So it's 12 semester hours, right? So if you can get those 4 college semester, those 4 courses done, so it's 12 college semester hours, then you're eligible to reclassify into the 68 Lima MOS. And what that does is those the reason why we have those college semester hour requirements is because once you graduate from the 68 Lima course here at Fort Sam Houston, you're going to graduate with an associate's degree. So those college classes are the only ones that we cannot produce or through the program and the POI here at the schoolhouse. So we're not necessarily teaching you the math class. So you have to have that ahead of time so that we can go ahead and award you that associate's degree once you graduate.
Okay, so that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I'm just going to throw this one out here. It's a question that we got from a comment. I'm just going to let you answer it since you already answered it.
I was just about to hit that one.
Can a staff sergeant reclass the 68 Lima field?
So right now, the answer is no. They can always submit a waiver, though. Like right now, we're taking everything as a case by case. Staff sergeants are highly, like in all medical fields, right? They're highly technical positions. They're trainers of other lower enlisted in regards to making sure they're technically sound. So just coming into the MOS as a staff sergeant is not necessarily a positive thing or value added. We do take everything into consideration if you do want to submit a waiver. Because right now the 68 Lima is a short, low strength. We have increased the waiver, a general blanket waiver from specialist non-promotable all the way to sergeant non-promotable. So if you're a sergeant or a specialist promotable, you can automatically get a waiver approved through HRC when you do the reclassification process. If you're a sergeant promotable or a staff sergeant, we can look at those waivers. You can submit a waiver request through your career counselor up to our proponent. However, to set up those good expectations, you have to have special circumstances.
Yeah, it's got to be an exception to policy. An exceptional case for
Gotcha.
an exceptional person gets an exceptional policy. So that makes a lot of
Yep.
sense. That also that answers a lot of questions that we get as career counselors, myself and Sergeant Waterbury. Because a lot of times we get soldiers come in, they'll be a Sergeant E5 or maybe even a staff sergeant,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, I want to become I want a medical MOS. So that's not
Mm-hmm.
why. So just explain to everybody why they can't just come from those higher ranks and come into the medical MOSs.
Yeah, and it just goes back to, how technical our field is, right? And it's not like, we're growing people up, right? We have Army systems, and as all Army positions, right, we grow leaders, right? So we start them as a young technical worker, like those essentially worker bees, if you will. And then as they grow up, they're more of a leader and senior leader as they develop through. If you're already a sergeant and you're coming in, but you were a sergeant in a different career field, it makes it a lot harder to transition and have those
Mm-hmm.
intricacies of the job and know kind of how the workings and be able to train others in that aspect. We do ask across the board. It's generally always a specialist non-promotable. So if you do have hopes of being a reclassing or joining the medical field, what we do is we say on your first reenlistment, it's always, if you're on first reenlistment, we are way more forgiving in regards to waivers. If you get promoted fast and you're fast tracking, we're willing to work with you and understand that, hey, you know what, you are out there, you're high speed, and we're going to see that's an exception of policy, right? But if if you're on your second reenlistment and stuff like that, then it's one of those things that, we have to get you young in your career because we have to get that return on investment, because Army medicine, is a huge enterprise. We're trying to really make the best force going forward.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. We got a comment from one of our YouTube watchers. Go ahead, Shantae.
All right. So, Andrew Seller wants to know what is the civilian equivalent to a 68 Lima, and does it transition into the civilian workforce easily?
Yeah, so on the civilian side, you would be considered a certified occupational therapy assistant, which is a national certification that you can get even while in the Army still. And so when it comes to workforce outside the Army, super easy. Wherever you live, you get a state license, you have your national certification, you pretty much wrote yourself into a job. Wherever you want to be, whatever city you're in, whatever state you're in, you can pretty much find work anywhere coming out of the Army with your national certification and getting that state license.
Awesome.
And to add to that,
Here,
Go ahead.
and
No,
to
go
add
ahead.
to that, what that really is that's another test that you have to take. So that's why we require that college associate's degree, because to be able to attest to get your COTA, your certified occupational therapy assistant certification, you have to have an associate's degree. That's why we require it. So we allow soldiers to sit for that test. It's not required per the MOS. However, we do encourage every 68 Lima out there to get that certification because it makes you equivalent, literally equivalent to those your civilian counterparts.
all right. So, why would you say that this certification is so important?
So there's a lot of detailed and very technical work when it comes to working in OT. I mean, you're working with, all kinds of different diagnoses. I mean, you're outpatient orthopedic rehab, inpatient medical holds, behavioral health, diagnoses also. And our therapists need us to be force multipliers, right? They need to be able to do their job, and they need to have confidence in the abilities of the 68 Lima to do their job. And that certification really just goes to prove that you're not only do you care about your career, but you're taking the steps necessary to, better yourself and show that level of education and knowledge to be, trusted with, hey, I need you to execute this treatment plan. You can go and do it, come back, report back to the therapist. And, there's no issues. And then again, it's a long test. It's a hard test, and it's an expensive test. But, it helps soldiers who are getting out of the military have something to fall back on. Even if you don't want to do OT forever, I mean, that's a good job to have. If you're making $30, $40, $50, $60 an hour, that's a good job to have, that first year or two out of the military until you get, whatever it is that your next step is going to be.
So, I got a question. Does the Army cover that that certification test for you guys, or is that something out of pocket?
So right now it's set up, you can do it multiple ways, right? So Army Cool website, credentialing online opportunities, that website allows you to go ahead and get your through that program, get you tested for your certification. You can do it that way. You can use your GI Bill and go ahead and use your GI Bill and get your certification that way, as well as this. Once you get into the MOSs, most units can actually fund your testing as well. So they can go through your education departments at the hospital,
Nice.
or you can go through unit, because it is a required, and it sets you aside and it required on the MOS in regards to is highly sought after. Then the unit can also fund it. So there's multiple paths to get the test paid for. Out of the soldier's pocket is highly discouraged, right? There are plenty of government-funded sources to pay for this certification. So even though it is expensive, it's expensive and it's an investment the Army's willing to make.
That's
Yeah,
great.
everybody likes free.
Yes.
Everybody. I don't think there's no place going to say otherwise. Before we keep
Right.
going on, Dakota Matthews wants to know, can you repeat the required college classes again that we need to take before we're able to reclass the 68 Lima?
Yep. So right now you have to take English Composition 1, right? And all the classes I'm going to say, you have to pass with at least a C average, right? So you have to at least a C grade, not average. You have to pass with at least a C. College level 1, right? A college math, a humanities, right? That can kind of count as like an art, a foreign language, philosophy, music, literature. Those type of things are like your humanities, and a speech class, a communication. So that's the requirement right now. You might see in like a division DA PAM 611, you might see there's also a psychology class that's required. That got taken out right now. So it's in the works. We're waiting to update the actual pamphlets. But if you submit your college transcripts through us, through the schoolhouse, we're going to require those 4 classes or 12 semester hours.
Nice. And those classes, can they clip them out? Can they clip out of those classes if they don't have them already?
So that was one thing. Sorry, Cox, you know the answer for that one? I can kind of speak a little.
So I think, yeah, any class you can clip out of and you can get the credits for, we're going to count it good. If you get the credits, yeah, you're good to go. Come on in.
All right. That's all we need to hear. I'd rather clip stuff than take the class.
Right. All right. Since we're talking about training again, Sergeant Cox, how long is the training? Is it a 2-part or is it just one straight shot? Where is it?
Okay. So with the 68 Lima program, it is a 8-month-long program, broken up into 2 parts. So your first phase 1 is 4 months long in San Antonio, Texas, at the schoolhouse, and that's where you're going to be in the classroom, learning everything from anatomy, kinesiology. You're going to be learning about the different diagnoses. You're going to learn some different treatment techniques, how to splint, how to take care of patients. And then you're going to go to phase 2, which is your hands-on portion. So you're going to go to a hospital and you're going to work in multiple treatment environments. So you might do outpatient care, so outpatient orthopedic rehab. So you're working on broken hands, wrist, fingers. You might go and work in an inpatient behavioral health ward. So you're working on life skills and mental health readiness. You might go and be in a TBI clinic. You might go to an inpatient clinic, and you're working with patients who are being medically cared for at the hospital, helping them get back their functional independence. So once you complete phase 1 and phase 2, you graduate, you get your associate's degree, and you're eligible and ready to start working.
Okay.
Wow, that sounds great.
And that associate's degree was in what would the associate's degree be in on it? Like the specific degree? Do you guys know?
It's an associate's in health science.
Okay, that's a good degree. That's a real good degree.
That's great.
So we talked about the training. Then once they graduate, what does a 68 Lima do on a daily basis, Sergeant Cox?
Okay, so a 68 Lima daily basis kind of depends on what setting you're in or what kind of unit you go to. So if you go to a hospital and you're working either outpatient or inpatient care, day to day, you're going to show up and you're treating and working with patients. If you're outpatient care, I mean, you might see somewhere from 8 to 12 patients a day. You're doing their rehab. So we're getting them, warmed up, exercised, stretched, strengthened, and doing everything we can, working with them on their skills to get back to work, to take care of themselves, to increase their independence. If it's inpatient care, you're going to be, helping patients work on their ADLs. So grooming, washing their face, brushing their teeth. Might be some re-education on how to walk and get out of the bed to the toilet and, take showers safely and different things like that. If you're working inpatient behavioral health, it's going to be a lot of classes. We're teaching classes on anger management, stress management, and I mean, any of the life skills, budgeting, time management, leisure exploration, trying to really help, those folks in the behavioral health ward, get back to a point where they can go back to work. And then we have the other units. So you have currently the H2F, so the health and holistic fitness. That's the new big one right now. And that is all mental readiness. So preparing somebody, those coping skills, those life skills, helping somebody, overcome adversity through mental preparedness. So I'm going to work on your grounding techniques. When you get ready to go take that ACFT and you don't know if you can do it, and you got that negative self-talk, you come see OT, and we're going to work on that negative self-talk, get you in a positive, mindset, so that way you can be prepared. And, it's not just for the ACFT, but it's that upcoming field problem. It's that upcoming promotion board. It's that upcoming deployment, being mentally prepared just as well as being physically prepared. And then we have the combat operational stress control units, which is all behavioral health. And again, we're back to giving our classes, working on our, life skills. So the anger management, stress management, sleep hygiene, we're there with a unit deploying and ensuring that the mental readiness of the soldiers is being cared for in country versus having to send to, stateside and waiting for replacements and everything like that.
Gotcha. All right, Master, real quick, because I know he briefly touched on the holistic fitness. Do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, so I mean, H2F, Holistic Health and Fitness, is a huge initiative. It's one of the top priorities for the Chief of Staff of the Army right now. So they're really putting their resources and everything behind it, so that they can really invest in the soldier, right? If you think about the ACFT and how much the controversy is going on with that, right? But you get what you resource, right? And they're resourcing with these H2F units, and the H2F units are directly pulling in those occupational therapists and those occupational therapy assistants. So what they're doing is they're allowing soldiers to get the tools required and the training to really be successful, not only in the ACFT, but really the battlefield and what we're trying to do, right? So those 68 Limas, which have predominantly been in those military treatment facilities, those hospitals, those clinics, they're now getting embedded directly in with those operational units, those FORCECOM units, right? So we're seeing them now with Special Forces units, this Army Ranger Regiment, the 82nd Airborne Division, right? 82nd all the way. They have them with all these other units, right? And they're also with these other, MOSs, right? So you can go all the way from Tripler in Hawaii to, First ID. They can go to Korea. All these units, and they're going to do exactly what they're doing, right? So if they're in the 82nd, they're jumping out of planes right along their soldier, and then when they hit the ground, right, they're there to give the treatment as needed, right? Point of care treatment, just as well as if they're in, Fort Hood, right? They're breaking tracks with them. And then they're out there talking about, like, okay, how do you do this, right? And if it hurts a hand, like if somebody breaks a hand, right, they go see the OT, right, and how they can work along that. And then so the OT and the occupational therapy assistant 68 Limas, right, they have a better understanding now of the population in which they're treating. And that's one of those huge investments that, Army medicine made, is like, if we're going to be able to treat this population of soldiers, we have to get to the front lines as close as possible, at least, to be able to understand them and treat them better.
Gotcha.
And that's
so
all
here's
the series, right?
Yeah. So that's
here's a question from our audience. Oh, go ahead. You can finish that one.
So with that, there's H2F. Yeah, those 68 Limas are going to be in those units. And let me actually, you said what units are going to be in there? Say that again.
Is it going to be all the medical MOSs are going to be doing H2F? They're going to do the holistic.
No, so there are only 3 MOSs that are inside the H2F, or the physical therapy, the 60 Fox, physical therapy assistants, right? The occupational therapy assistants, 68 Limas, and the 68 Mikes, right? Your dietitianary assistants, right? So those people, your nutritional assistants. So they really, taking it from, how you eat, how you fuel your body, how you rehabilitate your body from, the physical standpoint, and then also the mental and aspect with the 68 Limas. Those are the H2F units.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's limited to those 3 MOSs, which makes sense. Those 3 are intertwined with that. Shantae, you had a question from the audience?
Yep, someone from the audience wants to know if they already have associates in health science as a 68 whiskey. I'm guessing that they want to know if they could still apply to 68 Lima. And I'm going to assume that they're probably beyond the rank that you guys are looking for right now. But having that associates, would that help them to get that waiver?
So whether you get a waiver or not, so the college education requirement, right, is those 12 semester hours. So if they have already a degree, that just helps, right? But it doesn't necessarily meet a different gateway, right? And in this case, right, if you're a 68 whiskey and you want to come over to be a 68 Lima, you would still go to school just like any other 68 Lima because you met the requirements for the college semester. Now, what we didn't talk about though is what happens if you already have your CODA or you're already a certified occupational therapy assistant, right? And you got that through the civilian sector, or you had a and then you came into it as a different MOS, and now you want to reclass. If you already have your CODA, then we can skip AIT altogether and you can go straight to your first unit of assignment. And we can do that even for civilians. So if you have a civilian friend out there, or you have somebody that wants to be in the Army and they're a civilian certified occupational therapy assistant and have a national certification, we can go ahead and let them come into the Army through the ACAS program. And what they'll do is they'll go to basic training. They'll skip AIT altogether because they already have the requirement education, and they're going to go straight to their first unit of assignment.
No, that's a plus. That's a plus.
And they're going to come in as a specialist.
Oh yeah, hey, that pay. It's always about that. It's always better to start off as an E4 than an E1.
Yeah.
Unless you start as an E4 and then go down to E1 and make it back to E4, that feels better. So that's all. Everybody's story's different, right? Hey, we got a question from Dustin Gomez. He says, who do I see to process a waiver request for the MOS? So what would be the steps for that?
Yep. So the first step is, talk to your career counselor. So everybody has a career counselor, your retention NCO in your units. You got to definitely get a hold of them. And through your career counselors, they're going to submit a 4187 waiver request signed by your company commander and yourself up to the proponent. And that will be essentially to me. They can get a hold of us. They have all the career counselors have through their systems, the templates and the forwarding addresses. They can send it up to us. And then what we'll do is we'll look at it at the proponent, and we'll take a look at it based upon your individual circumstances to see what you can do. But the first step is always talk to your career counselor. Talk to them, get to know them, and get to know, and they can help you with your career.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. We're very intimately involved in helping that soldier. We're gonna be the first step most times when it comes to needing a proponent waiver. I've done many of proponent waivers, and sometimes I'll help out any soldier. Sometimes they get approved, sometimes they don't. But yeah, that's good. So Dustin, come see your career counselor first, and then we'll process it up the chain and get it to Master Iron's way. Shantae, there was a question on here from Morgan Smith that I think you might want to ask.
All right, Sergeant Cox, what about you? If you could say, what would you say is the most challenging part of being a 68 Lima?
So the most challenging part, that's a good question. I would probably say, you build a connection with your patients, clients that you work, and sometimes some of their injuries are really hard, and it's real hard to work with. Seeing them be in pain, seeing them, not have the motivation or not the desire to want to do therapy in the beginning, that can be really challenging. I know for me, working in the burn center is probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Wow.
So, working with patients, whatever amount of burn, they're in pain, the majority of the day, and then trying to rehab them and, hey, let's move and stretch. That can be difficult. So I would probably say that's the hardest part. Some of the patients that you work with, they're going to have some pretty gruesome injuries. And so having, that good, strong stomach and that compassion to understand, that they're going through something, but it's our job as, the 68 Lima to help get them back to what they were doing before their injury or as close as possible. Everybody wants to be independent and take care of their own selves. It's nothing worse than, getting hurt and then having to rely on a spouse, a friend, a family member to come, help you to the bathroom or help you get in and out of the shower. Everybody wants to do that by themselves. Do your own hair. We take it for granted, being able to brush your teeth. And so some of those injuries, we're there with the client, with that patient from the time when they can't brush their own teeth to, hey, now they're getting dressed, they're walking, and, they're no longer in treatment and they're doing things back on their own again. So, it's a very rewarding job to have when you get those success stories.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right. All right. So the prerequisites aren't listed on goarmy.com. Is there another site I can reference them or look out for the updates? So I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb and say you could probably find those on Army Reenlistment's website. And if they aren't on there right now, after this show, they'll be on there. But if not, check the comments after this show as well, because we'll go ahead and answer these questions, and we'll list all the prerequisites that you need educationally for this MOS.
So there's a question from Destiny Figs. She asks, do in and out calls still apply? With this being such a shortage MOS, and I know the demand is really, really high right now, are the in and out calls, are you guys taking people from shortage MOSs if allowed, or only from balanced MOSs or overstrength MOSs?
So HRC retention and reclassification branch has the final say on in and out calls. From the proponency perspective, right? If they're coming from a balanced MOS or they're coming from a short, if this still says no, we're willing to accept you into our MOS, especially since we are drastically short. I have heard from time to time that, HRC retention and reclassification branch might, they might step in and say, that MOS, I'm not going to let you leave that one because it is also a short stock. But for most cases, if those in and out calls, even if it is a no, it's still worth the application and trying. And I will tell you right now, for the 68 Limas, they also have selective retention bonuses. So if you're, so if we're out there, if we're trying to, get incentivize soldiers to come into the MOS, right? So if you're skill level 1, you get a tier 7, skill level 2 gets tier 8, and then skill level 3 and 4 get tier 5 bonuses, right? So that's some pretty significant bonuses that the Army is saying that we're going to invest in these MOSs. So in and out calls, they do apply, right? We look at them for all the MOSs when we do these waivers. But right now, it's right now the time is now.
Yeah, and I will tell you from personal experience. I will tell you from personal experience that branch, the HRC, they will go and talk to the soldier's individual branch. So it's up to that branch that's going to be the one that releases them. So I said that I did the same thing when we used to have people come in to 79 Sierras. They would be from a understrength MOS. If they were fully qualified, I would give them this. I would give them the proponent memo, and then it was up to their branch to release them. So take the chance. You miss all the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
And tier 7 and tier 8 bonuses are big, real big.
That is huge.
That's real big. Like you get a Tesla with that money.
Well, listen, you guys laugh, but on the East Coast right now, a lot of us are wishing we had Teslas with this gas shortage we got going on. So quit laughing.
Yeah, so we're stationed in Virginia, but we're here at Bragg this week for training, and we drove from VA down here. Me and my retention team, and we drove it, and weren't paying attention. The gas light came on last night, and we just happened to be driving by a Circle K that actually had gas, because we've seen nothing but gas stations with no gas around here. So go re-enlist to become a 68 Lima so you get that Tesla, and then you ain't got to worry about this gas in this pipeline. You ain't got to worry about all that stuff. Master, you were talking about something about a national hiring week, day, month, year. You want to talk on that?
Yeah. So right now, actually, the Army is having Army National Hiring Day, which is trying to promote all MOSs out there, right? So whether you want to be a 68 Lima or you want to be a 68 series altogether, Army Medicine, and join us, or you want to be 11 Bravo and go out there and close with and destroy the enemy, you can do all those MOSs. There are a lot of them open right now, and with the Army, we are offering bonuses through your recruiting and your retention to get those people off the street to come in and serve their country. And sometimes those bonuses have been increased up to $40,000, and most of the bonuses can be seen right now for $2,000. Like that, MOSs that would normally not have a bonus at all, right? Because they're at strength. But right now, if you're out there and you're thinking about joining the Army, we are having a National Hiring Month. It's day, but it's really a month long because we do things in the Army kind of slow. But it's going good. So if I just want to put it out there. I'm a huge fan. Like I said, I'm not a 68 Lima. I'm a 68 Whiskey. I didn't find the MOS found me. I did not choose it. It found me by that recruiter. He hooked me up. Yep. But I love it. I definitely love it. My wife's in the Army too. She's out there. She's a 68 Delta surgical tech by trade. It's a family business, and we're just out there trying to make sure that we can give back to our country. I don't think my girls, I have 2 daughters, I don't think they're going to join the Army though. I don't know. Space Force maybe. Space Force.
Yeah, that's high tech right there. But that's really key. And the fact that that right now the Army is giving bonuses, and even on the retention side, we're giving out bonuses. A lot of MOSs that I've been the career counselor for a long time, and that are getting getting bonuses I've never seen get bonuses before. Like for example, I'm up at Eustis. We have transporters with a home of transportation. We have 88 hotels. 88 hotel staff sergeants are getting bonuses. I don't think I've ever saw that before. And they're getting a tier 5 bonus. So if you're out there and you really want to stay on the team and you really keep defending this country, hey, come see a career counselor. There's a good chance you might get a bonus. It's really good stuff. So Cox, down there at the schoolhouse, how many hours a day are you putting in?
So I mean, I'm in the office at 8 in the morning before getting ready for classes, and I mean class ends at 5 in the afternoon. So I mean, then preparing for lectures, preparing for the next class, preparing for tests and hand-on practicals. I mean, it's a full day's worth of work, and then some.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand how hard it is to be an instructor, and my hat's off to y'all. I know you guys put in lots of hours, it's lots of time away from your family, big time. So, Master Sergeant, you got a fan in the Army, the Army Career Counselor of the Year.
Yeah, I see Star Lord out there doing great things. Yeah, she's up there at I think JBLM.
She's at JBLM. Yeah, she said you come through for the grade waivers. So, hey. You hear this? He's coming through for grade waivers. You better come in. You better go talk to your career counselor and get these waivers in. Let's do this. If you're just joining in, if you didn't see what we're talking about MOS 68 Lima. That is an occupational therapy specialist. If you're a civilian and you're watching this, that would be equivalent of a COTA. That's a certified occupational therapist. I don't know what the A stands for.
Assistant.
Yeah. You know what I meant, right? But yeah, no. This is a great conversation, and I will tell you. The passion that you guys have for your job is undeniable. We have a few more questions. Shantae, anything you want to ask?
Yep. So Dakota wants to know if you're trying to reclass and you were missing one of those prerequisite college classes, is that pretty much a no-go for you, or you have to wait till you get that class, or what can she do? He or she do? I'm sorry.
So right now, 68 Lima does have 3 classes a year, right? So essentially, they start one in January, one in March, and the other one in August. Those are the start dates for those phase 1 courses. You can always re-enlist for a couple months away, right? So you can, right now is the time you're trying to get it in here, right? You might be able to start, and based upon your when you're doing college, you can say, okay, I can realistically expect to get it done by September. That means that you're eligible for the January class. So working with retention and reclassification branch, and working, understanding that, okay, I'm going to get these classes done. We can accept you, based upon the fact that when you're going to get done. But we have to see that kind of documentation and see that you're actually signed up and trying to get the classes. I've known one soldier, on case by case situations, right? It can't be everybody, but sometimes we do allow soldiers right now to take classes right up until the actual day of the start date of the course. So I would say, like everybody's been saying, right now is the time. 68 Lima is out there. We're hurting for soldiers, right? And it's not because we're hurting for soldiers because the MOS is not good. It's a great MOS. Soldiers are just also leaving. They're getting the certification. They have opportunities in other places, right? They serve their country. They've done their time, and that's their choice, right? They want to leave and go out there and be a civilian. At the same time, right? Like I said earlier, H2F, Holistic Health and Fitness, the Army invested in it. So where there was a certain amount of authorizations or soldiers authorized to be a 68 Lima, right now the Army almost doubled that MOS because that's how important it is. So as the years goes on, we're going to increase those authorizations. So we're hurting for soldiers right now, not because we're hurting, but because we want to make sure that we're ready to meet the demands of the warfighter in the future.
Because you're growing. Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely growing.
It's great.
It's definitely growing. I just want everybody to know how this whole show came about, right? So I was minding my business on a Friday afternoon, right? And then I got a phone call from Mr. Jim Bragg. If everybody that's not in the retention world, you don't know who Mr. Jim Bragg is. But if you are in the retention world, if you don't know who he is, he's pretty much like the Don Corleone of retention, right? So I got a phone call from him. So one of two things went through my mind. One, what did I do? What did I do to mess up, right? Or what did one of my counselors do to mess up that I'm getting a phone call on a Friday afternoon? And he goes, he talked to me about something, a situation that we wanted to talk about, but he's like, hey, you do this thing on Facebook or something, right? Yeah, I want you to talk about 68 Limas. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, no, you know how hot it is right now. I said, yeah. He's like, I think this will be a good idea to expand it, get that audience out there. And so I really appreciate Mr. Bragg doing that for to putting that in the air, because you guys have brought a lot of energy tonight. The passion that you guys have for your job comes through. It's too easy to tell. It comes through, and we appreciate it, even with me not having headset today, because I left that home when I packed. I haven't been TDY in like a year and a half, and then I finally come TDY and I forget all types of stuff.
See,
like
good thing Army Medicine gave you that COVID vaccination, right? You're like, we hooked you up.
I still got 2 more days so I can go maskless until I'm fully vaccinated. I'm fully vaccinated. Yeah. No, you guys, this is awesome. Yes, Destiny Tom Davis question did get answered, but I'll let Matt Sergeant ask it again. Staff sergeants, can they get accepted?
Staff sergeants on a case-by-case situation right now, it's very hard. You have to have an exceptional policy. We do say sergeants and below for 68 Lima, blanket waiver, sergeants and below. Once you become a sergeant, promotable, and a staff sergeant, we can accept the waiver. We can look at the waiver, send it up to your career counselor. We said, go to your career counselor, submit the waiver. We'll look at it. But to set up those good expectations is,
Yeah.
And I'd also like to say about that, it's difficult as a, coming into an MOS, especially if you're a staff sergeant. If you show up at the hospital, your OIC, your chief, they want you running that clinic. And they don't have time to be trying to, train you and teach you. They need you in there getting schedules put out. They need you training, the E4s and E5s, making sure that they know their job. They need you running to meetings and understanding, the MOS. So that's why it's real hard to get those staff sergeants to come through and, be accepted into the program, because it's like, hey, I need that staff sergeant to come in and be ready to work, day one, and it's hard to try to learn the job while trying to, run the clinic. So that's one of the difficulties.
Yeah, if you think about it from a perspective, right? If you're a OIC, like you're a platoon sergeant, right? You might be a clinic into IC. That's the equivalent to a platoon sergeant in the hospital, right? So you wouldn't expect to be reclassed and become automatically a platoon sergeant. I understand that leadership's leadership, but there are some very technical tracks in regards to the medical. So that's why Sergeant Cox hit it right on the nail on the head. And it's just
the in the field experience is key, especially in medical MOSs. Like I would never be able to go as a master sergeant, be able to go and just reclass over there, because I'd be expected to be a subject matter expert with my team, and I just wouldn't be able to do it. So I'd probably just get UMP'd or something.
We got another question from the audience real quick. They want to know, where can you get the example 4187 for the waiver?
So your career counselor should have all the waivers, examples, and I can always send you one, right? If you send me an email, I can send you one, but you have to go through your career counselor because they have the intricacies and know the process and how to get it done, right? It takes your company commander signature, it takes you, and there's some supporting documents and making sure we can get that, right? So you need your SRB and you need your 4187 signed by your company commander. And if you're not tying your career counselor into that process, you're not doing them a service, you're not doing yourself a service.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Very true. That's very true. I've had experiences, and Shantae, you probably had them too, where soldiers go out their way and do stuff on their own, and then they come see you and like, hey, I got accepted to this MOS. Like, when did you get accepted? But okay, we'll make it work.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely one of those, like, if I could stomp my feet right now to, apply, go see your career counselor. This is definitely one of those moments where, for the longest, you weren't seeing anybody really above a specialist getting in a medical job. So like, now is the time to go reclass. So
those sergeants,
they're watching and they're listening.
Those sergeants out there, I'm telling you, if you apply, there's a good chance that you're going to get accepted right now. They don't go out their way. Medical MOSs don't go out their way many times to say, hey, we're taking in sergeants. Right now is the time to go see your career counselor. And we will make sure we take care of you. There was one thing I saw, it has nothing to do with this, with what we're talking about right now. But Alfonda Baker Jr. said, hopefully Army Ignited is up soon. I just got a brief today from the Fort Bragg people. They said one day. So one day, Alfonda, is going to be open. It's going to be up and running. One day. So I don't know what that day is, but one day. So that's good.
Not one day, like in one day, but one day.
No, one day. Oh, we got a shout out from the Army Center of Excellence, the Medical Center of Excellence. They hashtag join us. Let's do it. All right.
Do it.
This has been a great discussion. I'm pretty sure that you're gonna get a lot of packets coming your way, Matt Sergeant. So Cox, you're gonna have some high-speed soldiers coming through.
Hey, we're ready.
And we'll be able to hear that out. I guess I got my own personal question before we close out. Just be fixed. Yes, I will be back at JBLE on Friday. Probably not gonna come to work on Friday because we're traveling on Friday, but I'll be back Monday. So come by the retention office and come see us. All right. Sergeant Cox, Matt Sergeant, thank you so much for coming through. You guys are getting standing ovations from the Army Center of Excellence, right? Which is good stuff. Usually we close the show out with letting our guests just shout out or talk about anything they want to talk about. So, Sergeant Cox, you want to start it off?
Sure. First off, thank you for having me on here, being able to, give some information and some insight. Again, if you're out there and you want to help people, you want to get people back to functional independence, and you want to help somebody get stronger, get back to enjoy, doing the things that they enjoy doing. 68 Lima is a great program to be involved in.
Thank you. Matt Sergeant, floor is yours.
Yeah, so I always have to start out by saying, I'm just excited to be here. It's a great opportunity to be a part of the Army team, right? Army medicine starts here at the Med COE, right? But Army medicine is, Army strong. We're trying to get there for the warfighters out there. I can remember when I was in Task Force 300 out there in Iraq, and we had one of our soldiers, Specialist Church, was shot in the hand right through with a discus. So he got shot in the hand. He put a tourniquet on himself, right? Got awarded the Silver Star for his bravery because he still closed with to destroy the enemy. But it was a 68 Lima who was in home station who took care of that soldier and brought him back and rehabilitated him, right? And he took through, and they were innovative, playing video games and doing different things to get him back to the fighting force, right? And Church, I would say, like, he was there, one of my brothers in arms, and was able to get back to the fighting force. So you don't know where you can apply or when you're going to need Army medicine, but I guarantee you that Army medicine is going to be there for you. I can't do anything out there in the Army without giving a shout out to my wife, though. Sergeant Major Winder, she's always doing great things. It's the Army family. So I got to give a good shout out. She's TDY right now too, so hopefully she's out there listening to this. But I just have to say, Army medicine, when you call for us, right, we don't have all these fancy degrees on the wall, right, but that we're going to come and get you. That's our commitment to you. That's our commitment to the American people, right? Sons and daughters, we're going to come and get you. And 68 Lima is one of those MOSs that can help.
I appreciate it. You pump me up. You guys pump me up. I'm really motivated right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do in my hotel, but I'm motivated though. Shantae, anybody want to shout out?
All right, yeah. So while we have the U.S. Army Medical Center of Excellence on here, I wanted to let our audience know as well. You can find them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Flickr, LinkedIn, YouTube. We tagged all of their social medias as well as their CG's social media and the comments of the show. So if you have more questions, feel free to contact them on one of these sites. As you can tell, they're active, so they will get back with you. And then as far as a shout out for this week, let me stir the pot a little bit. So I want to give a shout out to First SFAB. They were the first brigade in my unit to close out in all assigned categories. But I also want to say that across the FORCECOM units right now, I'm not counting 5 Corps, 5th Corps, those new people at Fort Knox, but shout out to the SFAC because we are doing the dang thing across FORCECOM, and we're still wanting to bring some retention onto this show. So, if you can talk the talk with us, feel free to hit us up and come join our show one day.
Thank you. I just want to give a shout out to the audience.
Here we go.
Feedback.
Okay.
No, the feedback that we got last week for our show with some First Class Toya Green was amazing. Soldiers, civilians, whoever you are right now, you just know that we'll be the voice for y'all. If you got topics you want us to discuss, there's conversations that need to be had. We're not scared to have them. I'm about to hit 18 in August, so they can't touch me, right? So worst thing they're gonna do is tell me I gotta retire at 20. This is my plan anyways, right? So I really appreciate y'all because y'all motivate me because I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I don't be wanting to do this stuff, right? But the feedback we get is amazing. But I also want to give a shout out to since we're shouting out people for recognition. I want to give a shout out to my career counselors, Staff Sergeant Kevin Bingham, 268 re-enlistments as of today, #1 in the entire Army. #1 he's about to be recognized tomorrow he's going to be the first member of the 100 Club for 18th Airborne Corps. Second place, Sergeant First Class Sean Curran, 185 re-enlistments as of today. So 1 and 2 in the entire Army. They make me look good because obviously, if you know me, I just take naps at work, right? And so we'll see what we can do. Yeah, Lexi said play nice. Yalixa Huddleston told me to play nice for the next 3 months. I'm trying to play nice. Just once I get to 18, they can't tell me nothing. But hey, appreciate all of y'all, the audience. Y'all are awesome. Sergeant Cox, we got a question for you. Is there a way that somebody can reach you? Kendrick Brown says, Staff Sergeant Cox, is there a way we can reach out or contact you directly?
Yeah, so on the MedC website, there is a link for occupational therapy, and we have our occupational therapy inbox email there. And you can send us an email. It goes through our whole department. So any one of us, there's 4 enlisted personnel, and we have our 2 officers there. All instructors that will be willing to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Shantae, you can send us out tonight because I'm about to go get a drink. You can close up the show.
Oh man. All right. So again, we want to thank you guys all for being on the show tonight. It really meant a lot. I hope this helps with the recruiting for your MOS because it is definitely very interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. And that is really it. So next week, be sure you are watching us. We will have a special program on for you guys. I'm not going to announce it yet, so just keep watching. And that is it. Thanks again. Have a great night.